Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ask Me Almost Anything Marathon. Today is day 6. I am your host, Dee Casson. For those of you who can't see me, I'm a very tan woman. I have short, wavy, salt and pepper hair. I think it's white. I don't remember which side. I have a white flower in my hair. I'm wearing clear glasses, a purple patterned caftan, and I have a red background behind me. So welcome. I'm so excited to have you all here today. And we're going to start with just giving ourselves a moment to let go of the day and be present to this time. So if you want to join me, please go ahead and take a deep breath in and exhale. Deep breath in and exhale. Deep breath in and exhale. So I'm kind of getting a rhythm with this event, and we're going to start with the Pokemon card for the day. And I also got some questions offline, and they're going to watch them as team replay because I think past their bedtime. I need some water. Okay, so we'll get started with our Pokemon card of the evening. What should we think about tonight and tomorrow as we go into the next day? And we get the Tower of Darkness again. This, like the term darkness, so we'll use the term the Tower of Systems and things that we're not aware of. This shows a bamboo pagoda style tower. It has two flaps on the side, and there's a giant bear up top. So this tower is used specifically to train one specific Pokemon. So think about, what are you trying to accomplish? What specific goal do you want to achieve? And what do you need to do to achieve that? What kind of training, what obstacles are there for you to overcome? Are there support team that can help you, because there are trainers in this particular tower? And that's a good thing to go through the day. I am personally delving more into art and having fun with that because I want to retrain my brain patterns, and I do find art to be very relaxing and helpful. We're going to get into our questions. And the first question that I got was, what can I do when I feel in a slump? What can I do when I feel in a slump? And I pushed back a little bit when they wrote me the question. What is the challenge about being in a slump? Why is it a problem? What does the slump prevent you from doing? So the question is, what can I do when I feel in a slump? And perhaps we might dig into what is causing the slump, can this, and see how we can move forward. So we'll pull a card for what is happening right now to give us inspiration about what is happening. And we get the Fairy Energy Pokemon card. This is a pink card. It has a glowing pink sphere with a kind of like a stylized flower. The leaves look like hands, and then there's a bud in the center, which could be a star or a diamond or a synapse point. But that is the Fairy Pokemon card. So perhaps the cause of your slump has to do with the need for some personal healing that has not been addressed, and it's manifesting in your life to a point that it is getting in the way of the activities that you want to be doing. That's something to consider when you're in a slump. So then what's a challenge? Okay, so what? I'm in a slump. I'm not healing. What's the big deal? And we get Clamperry. Ooh. Clamperry is a water Pokemon type. It looks like an oyster with a little pearl, sorry, a clam, I guess, because it's clamperry with it's a lot of blue. This is actually a really pretty card. A lot of blue tentacle or bubble looking things. It's a little pink pearl nestled in these, surrounded by other blue bubbles or water droplets under the sea. And that reinforces this idea of healing. And when I think about water energy, thinking about going deeper, I'm trying to read the little things on the card. Clamperry's pearls are exceedingly precious. They can be more than 10 times costly as Shelder's pearls. So that's another Pokemon out there. And part of being in a slump might be, where are we putting our pearls? Are we putting our pearls in places where they're not appreciated, spending all this energy where it's not appreciated, and getting your bubbles burst, metaphorically speaking? So again, healing energy, exploring the feelings, exploring what's going on in your heart might be the reason why you're in the. Okay, so we're in a slump. Maybe we're thinking about what is causing this, what would help us when we're in a slump. And you get, ooh, the dark energy Pokemon card. Again, I don't like the word dark as negative. You sleep better in the dark. It's quiet sometimes in the dark. Cool things like glow in the dark things aren't going to glow if you're not in the dark. This is a dark blue card with a dark blue glowing sphere that has a crescent sign. So thinking about what has you in this might be considering, what are the underlying hidden systems, or what's the other word? The things underneath, the undercurrents, that's the word I'm looking for. What are the undercurrents that could be in you and bringing you into a slump? Maybe there's things you hadn't considered. Maybe you're hungry. Maybe you're allergic to something. Maybe you're not getting enough rest. Maybe you're avoiding a problem and that's really weighing on you. But you're fiddle-dee-dee. I'm not thinking about this right now. Let's take a moment to celebrate Perkins here. Woohoo! Awesome. Okay, and we have another question. Okay, I'm going to get to your question next, because we're working on one right now about what to do when you're in a slump. So we'll get to your question next. Promise, right? So it's looking at the underlying systems that could be impacting this slump, the deeper motivations that perhaps you're not ready to heal. So when we're thinking about what we've gotten so far for this particular question, our issue is that maybe there's an issue with healing. We need to dive deep into it and kind of address the irritations and where are we putting our precious energy. And then I'm not good at organizing this. What are some of the underlying systems, feelings, unresolved issues that could also be impacting us and putting slump? So what's one tiny step that you can take to go forward? And wow, we get another healing Pokemon card. I have a ton of them. So healing is really important. And to help you get out of the slump, I would think about addressing these underlying causes. We're avoiding something, we are averse to something. It's hard to feel the feels. Sometimes we just have been sad and we're not expressing it. And that's another way that the slump can manifest. So Team Replay, I hope that helps answer your question. Thanks so much for your question. And we're going to move on to the next question from Perkins out here. Okay, so the question is, what do I do if I feel distant from my closest peers? And again, I'm going to push back a little bit and ask, why is that a problem? Has something changed to make you feel distant? And again, is this a problem? Maybe that is a sign that you need to take a step back or reevaluate the friendship. But let's take a peek and see what the wisdom of the Pokemon can help us with. Need a little water. Okay. So the first card I get you is, wow, the Tower of Darkness. Again, for people that are just joining the call, this is a pagoda of a tower of pagoda shapes with a bear on top. And there's a lone figure there. Potentially, what is the nature of the relationship with your friend? Is it turning, or your peers? Are they a little more adversarial? Are you all on a journey together? This particular tower can only train one specific type of Pokemon. It's designed for one specific Pokemon. So perhaps some of the estrangement is because you all are going on different journeys. You're going on a journey of learning, and they have a different journey. That's something that potentially could be happening. Perhaps you were working together and now you're adversaries. So perhaps this is the nature of the relationship, and that you are going in different ways, different journeys. That potentially could be it. I don't know if that's helping. And then what's the challenge? Wow, we get Trubbish. Trubbish is an anthropomorphic trash bin, and this is also a psychic Pokemon card. Putting that together, and one of Trubbish's things is Stomp Off. So Trubbish is dealing with toxic relationships. So is there something toxic that has been happening between you and your peers in relation to the journey that you're on? And perhaps just maybe they're not a good influence on you, and you're feeling a need to move away, go a different path from your peers. That's always a possibility with that. Okay, so what could help? Maybe this is just a misunderstanding, and we need more communication. I have no idea. Let's see. Okay, this is fun. This is Unit Energy. This is a collection of ordinary, fighting, fairy, and dark energy, and together you're stronger. What's the benefits of being with peers? Maybe, can this relationship be saved? Together, sometimes you bring more energy than working by yourself. So if you're feeling distant from the peers, maybe it's time to think about, well, why are they your friends, or why are they your peers? What are you all doing together? Is there something to fight for to heal this relationship? Are there some different undercurrents? Just looking at the specific energies that are in this deck, are there certain undercurrents that perhaps have not been addressed with you and your peers, which is causing these kind of toxic vibes? So I'm going to put these three together. Sorry, I didn't mean to put that up there. So maybe that is causing some toxic vibes. Maybe they don't understand the road that you're on in your journey, if that is potentially it, that you're just starting to go on different paths because they're going on a different path and you can't be a part of it. So what are the commonalities that you have with your peers? What are the things that is worth fighting for? And that might help you to bridge the gap and the distance between yourself and your peers. And finally, what's the way forward? You got the Metal Pokemon card. This card is a deep gray with a glowing kind of silver sphere, and it has an inverted black triangle, and each corner has brackets. And Steel is a card that is strength. So perhaps Steel is really good with storms. It can weather like sandstorms or windstorms. Steel is really good at not falling apart with that because it's a very flexible material, even though it's really strong. So if you've identified the root cause of maybe why you're feeling distant from your peers, why it's a problem, and if it's something worth fighting for, just think of the steel in those relationships that can help bond you back together and help you to withstand those storms. And so that would be a next step forward. Is this relationship worth fighting for? And perhaps reflecting on the reasons why your peers in the first place. Maybe how can you help them on their journey? How can they help you on your journey? And find those things to identify what has changed and what has turned like a little toxic in your relationship. I hope that helps. And if that wasn't clear, you can ask follow-up questions since I have you all to myself so far. But if not, I'm on to another question. So the other question I've gotten today was, well, let's see the comments. It did. Awesome. I'm so happy. How do I choose what to let go of if everything is important? Oh, that was just a taste. If with my full clients, we go in as in depth as they would like to, and we really explore what's happening. But we're going to look into how do I choose what to let go of if everything is important. And we'll go again once to the wisdom of the Pokemon. What is happening if everything is important? Thank you so much for being very thorough. My goodness, here we have intuition. So what is happening is perhaps we're not trusting ourselves. The intuition energy card is a purple card with a glowing purple sphere with a stylized eyeball. It has a comet. So team replay this for you. And perhaps you are not trusting your intuition about what's important because you're trying to do too many things. And I think in your heart of hearts, you know what's important, but you're gaslighting yourself because there's so many other things and other people, and it's really hard. We definitely want to please other people, and sometimes that doesn't feel good. Sometimes you get something to do and you're like, and it is challenging to determine, is this something that I'm just avoiding because I need to do it and I don't want to do it? Or is this something I truly need to do? Or is it something else? So think about your intuition on the situation as far as what's important. You know what's important. It's acknowledging that sometimes. And what's the challenge? Get the fighting energy card. So, and this is a deep orange card with a black stylized fist. I'm thinking about intuition versus fighting energy. It's fighting the things that what your higher sense knows, maybe versus what seems pleasurable in the moment. Orange can also be like a really happy card about creativity and fun, and maybe that's in conflict with what is necessary on a higher level, for your like a more spiritual thing, or just the things that you really know in your heart of hearts are important. And again, whether you're avoiding them because they're just not sexy, or it's a fight to do them, it's a struggle to do them, that could be another reason. You know what you want to do, but maybe it makes you uncomfortable, so you'd rather make yourself busy doing a bunch of other things to avoid the thing that you don't want to do, even though you do need to do them. And just on an aside from the Pokemon, a good tool I found that my youngest actually reminded me about is the Eisenhower, and that rates tasks in order of importance. So there's things that are urgent and important, there's things that are not urgent and important, and that's kind of where you want to be so you're not putting out fires all the time. Not urgent, not important, and urgent but not important. And you can look at on the internets and figure out where those things help. And I think it also helps to try to align to your values. So it can help us in our situation. We get another fighting energy card. And this is also important to think about, what are you fighting for? What's important to get up every day? Why do you put yourself through all these things? What's worth fighting for? And that might help you to determine what things are important in your life, because those are and this one has a little swoosh on it. I like the little comet swooshes. So I think this is super important. And the energy card also had a swoosh on it. So maybe take a moment and pause when you're in a calm space. Oh, woohoo. Where I hit a bunch of important mind. Okay, sorry, I got a comment that came in. I recently got married. I want to buy a house, have a child, get promoted, go on my husband. It all seems so overwhelming. How do I prioritize? Well, this is kind of what we were talking about, Squabbles 24. Just to recap, because I don't know when you joined in, the first thing about thinking what's important is to trust your intuition. I'm pretty sure out of all of those things that you mentioned, one thing really just that's what you really want. And maybe the other things are, well, plan B or plan C. So out of all this, what is, I love this book, The One Thing. What is the one thing that if you did that would make everything else easy or less stressful? And that could be a way to help guide you. The next thing was a challenge of fighting energy. Sometimes the things that we want or the things that we need aren't sexy, and it's a fight, it's a slog, because it's a longer term goal. And most of the things that you're talking about all seem to be longer term goals. So I guess which you have to think about as the last one, what's worth fighting for? What will bring you joy and energy, but also kind of hit the things that are important. And there's two. There's important and not urgent, and important and urgent. So maybe for all of these things, if something is time bound, like we're talking about buying a house, is it a good market for that? To have a child, do you need the house first? With if you got promoted, how does that impact your ability to have other things? So it's kind of really thinking about fighting for, where do you want to be a couple of years from now, and breathe. I think if you give yourself some time to sit still, whoops, and tap into your deep instincts and what is the best thing for your higher self that makes you happy. And now it's not just you have a spouse, right? You have a partner since you just recently got married. So prioritizing is really what will put on my oxygen mask first. So finally, to kind of help with that, let's pull a card for maybe a baby tiny forward. And you have the lightning energy card. This is all energy. All of these things are energy battles. And when I think of, so this is a yellow card for those of you that can't see, it has a glowing yellow sphere with a lightning bolt. And I immediately just think of joy when I think of the color yellow. Maybe you're someone that read the yellow wallpaper of something else when you think of the color yellow. I'm so glad, this is great advice. So when you're thinking about what to prioritize, what will bring you joy in the long run? Because they're short-term goals that feel good in the moment, but they maybe were a distraction because it's not what is really good for yourself. So what will inspire you versus what will expire you when you're thinking about all of these choices? I'm not living your life, and I unfortunately can't say do this one first, but I do think that if you give yourself a moment to pause, and I'm a big fan of, I've found so many insights from just writing things out. It's kind of like having a conversation with yourself. And I get a lot of insights from journaling, or you can consider drawing. I don't remember her name, but there's a great TED Talk where you draw your life as it is, and it's usually miserable. Draw your to be life using a lot of colors and things like that. And then you write in the middle 3 bold steps. And that can also help you. Just drawing your life, visualizing what do you want your life to look like? What comes to mind for you? And that might also help you to prioritize. I hope that. Thank you so much for your great questions, Squabbles24. And I'm glad you found it to be good advice, and best of luck. And, let me know, how did this work out for you? If this helps, please let me know and tell a friend. Okay. One of the other questions that I got offline was, how attached am I to my phone? And for those kind of questions, I don't think this is the best way to go about those, because that's kind of a yes, no question. The question might be better spent with, what could I be doing if I weren't spending time on my phone? Is spending so much time on your phone actually a problem for you? It's kind of defining what is actually happening. And we can take a look at what's happening in this situation. You're spending a lot of time on your phone. what's happening with that. And this one you get, I don't know, Pansage or Pinsagi. My kid can probably help me with this one. This is a grass energy Pokemon, and it looks like a little fairy monkey. It's very green, and I'm getting kind of leprechaun things, maybe just how it is. It's against this really interesting modeled, I can't think of that movement, Monet. Oh my gosh, the art movement, impressionist movement. And it's very vibrant and full of life and out in nature. So if I'm thinking, am I too attached to my phone? This person or this creature has a lot of movement. And perhaps being on our phones all day is disconnecting us from nature. So that could be a reason why you're even questioning, do I spend too much time on my phone? And full disclosure, I just took a shower without listening to extra music or an audiobook or something else. I took a shower and it was actually it was a different sensation. I smelled the soap. I noticed how the water felt. I decided to clean the bathroom because I don't know, maybe I was still looking for some kind of distraction, but I felt so much more at peace during that shower. It was like one of the best showers ever because I was away from my phone. And again, what's the challenge? And this one you get Ponyta. This is a fire energy Pokemon, and it is a horse, a white horse that has like flames for the mane and the tail, and it's glowing in light, and it's in a very stark scene with like a solitary tree at twilight. And these two these two creatures are kind of different energies. This one, the one, Pansage, is full of life and vibrant. And this horse is vibrant in its own way, but it kind of seems to be really solitary on its own. There's nothing around it. When you compare it to Pansage, that has all of this information and interesting things. And this could also be why the phone is so attractive versus solitary time. It really depends on you as the individual and why this is a challenge for you. And I think there is kind of a beauty being alone and in quiet time. And I can definitely see the challenge in contrast because the monkey one could also be why the phone is so entertaining and distracting. But that's a word that comes to mind: distraction, distraction, distraction. What could you be doing if you weren't distracted? And so continuing on, let's try and get some advice in this situation. And we get Chespin, getting some new fun Pokemons. This is another Leaf Pokemon card. And there's a researcher in the back, and I'll put up the card again. And Chespin is picking some pears off a tree. And it has a kind of grass helmet looking thing. And I can't tell if it's a monkey. It's some kind of little creature. It has a little tail, and it is picking fruit, but there's also like a researcher behind Chespin. And this is kind of the amalgamation of science, technology, and natural things. So it could also be, maybe you just need to find a balance with your phone. Find those times to literally kind of not smell the flowers, but pick some fruit, resources. Chespin is putting the fruit into a bowl. The words here are work and seed bombs. So perhaps if you weren't spending as much time on your phone, you could potentially be planting seeds. And the technology is kind of more in the background in this picture. So your phone tool, it can be an enhancement. I mean, I was without my phone because I murdered it by accident. It went to the sunken place. And I realized how much I relied on it to navigate, making phone calls, staying connected to people. But I also had so much more time because I didn't have as many distractions. So not everything on the phone is important. So it's important to spend some time out in nature if that's possible for you, making some time to plant for what is coming ahead, to put in some work into yourself, into your finances, into the things that will help you to accomplish your goals. And finally, what's a step forward if you think that maybe you're spending too much time with your phone? And we get the good old lightning energy card again. Lightning is joy, but this is also for me, I think about being empowered. So the time that you're spending on your phone, are you in control of your phone time or is your phone in control of you? That's something to consider. Are you giving away and abdicating your power to this distracting but fun device? Are you missing out on maybe some of these insights? This is a beautiful picture. This horse is on fire. Are you missing out on those sparks because everything is always around you and there's so much distraction, you're not seeing what really is important? So that's a great question. Thank you, Team Replay. I hope that was helpful. And that I was also supposed to not be using hope too much anymore. I'm pretty confident that will give you some new venues and inspiration to think about as you go through your day. We still have 30 minutes. So, my team that's still around, if you still have questions, thank you, Twitch and YouTube viewers. If I have anybody else that has a question, I'm happy to answer it. I think I had one more from the replay. So, give me a second to check my question queue. Oh, how they wanted to have more insight about making the most of a win. And that one confused me a little bit. They didn't get a chance to elaborate. And I was thinking, are you asking how to leverage a win into more wins? And I think a lot of times the basic thing with the win is we don't celebrate the wins. We just keep going through life and don't recognize that. And when we're depleted and in a low place, we don't have anything to build on. So let's think about what's happening with this win. And we have Heatran. Heatran is it's a fire type Pokemon. It's made out of rock and has lava flowing through its veins. And when I'm thinking about wins, it's about letting things build up, and we don't want it to explode like a volcano that is not really structured and can be very destructive. It is something that can build and coalesce because volcanoes, once they've cooled down, they leave a really rich soil. So the moment of the wind, that yay, I'm on fire and everything's awesome, when it cools down, will you have soil to plant further things? And sometimes that takes a little bit of time for the soil to come into play. I'm just trying to remember what the card read on this one. Yeah, magma circulates through its body and it makes its place in volcanic areas. So for me, this is keep the fire going in a controlled and measured way. Because sometimes when you're not prepared for success, that can also be like a volcano. Like you decided, or people that get sudden fame and they really weren't prepared for it, or you had an idea and all of it you're a millionaire and you didn't give any thought to that, and now everybody's coming at you because you're not prepared for it. So how do you keep the heat and keep that fire going without getting burnt out? So what's the challenge of winning? And here we have the lightning energy Pokemon. Does lightning strike in the same place? Believe it or not, it does. I know somebody that's been struck by lightning multiple times. So when we're thinking of winds, keeping the heat and keeping the fire going, what are the sparks? What did you learn from the wind that you can turn around and perhaps replicate it and keep those winning streaks going? If you had a win, can you ask for a referral? Like maybe you had a sales win. Do you ever ask those customers, hey, please tell a friend, or is there anybody else I can talk to that could benefit from what I have to offer? And what are some other? We have Execute. This is a group of rowdy eggs. It's a grass Pokemon, and they don't work well by themselves. This is Multiply. So I love this in relation to wins. We want to multiply the wins, and you don't want rotten eggs. How can you continue that? I love this so much. How do you nurture the wins? And I'm just trying to, I'm sorry, I'm getting old. 6 of them together form a full-fledged Pokemon. Okay, how to leverage a win. Don't forget your community, right? The people that help you don't win in vacuums. You had to have, you had a support system, whether you recognize it or not. You're learning from people that have come before you. Everybody didn't just wake up knowing how to win. If you do, that's really awesome. You're a super lucky person. But I think to execute and leverage the win is how to create win-win situations for your community, for the people in your life. Why is it important for winning? What does winning mean for you? What does winning mean for the people around you? And that could be motivation to keep that winning streak going. So a step forward, and this kind of or confirms, because the other one was a grass energy Pokemon, is keeping these things organic, doing things naturally in a way that is sustainable. When I think go green, we want to think of things that are sustainable. So again, it's not worth it to me to win, but burn out. And what did you learn from that win that you can leverage the next time so your next win doesn't cost so much effort, right? And don't forget about retention. If you're in sales, maybe, I don't know why I'm getting sales for this, but if you're in sales, if you get a win, you want to retain that because it costs even more to bring a customer back than when you lose them. So you want to keep the trust, keep it organic, keep the fire flowing without burning up. So Team Replay, I hope you enjoyed that question. I really still like the word hope. For those of you that are new to this stream, why I'm kind of chastising myself a little bit through the use of hope. Hope is not a plan. That's like hopium. That's like saying, I hope I get a job, and you never apply anywhere, you never talk to anybody, you don't look for anything. You just sit there and hope it will happen. So for me, hope is kind of away some of the responsibility. I am practicing with these lives on just becoming more confident about what I do with Pokemon. So if you're new to me, the Clarity Concierge, I help people get insight into challenging situations where they're stuck. And I like things like Pokemon cards. I use regular tarot cards as well. The Pokemon came from a joke back when X was Twitter. I don't remember why, but somebody was just like doing an interesting spread, and I had my kids' Pokemon cards. And I was like, wow, this was really insightful. I played Pokemon much, but how most of what we do, and you can use even random picture generators, is using art or visuals or sound, because if you're not a visual person, it could be your favorite quotes. I have a friend, and she runs the Cosmic Vending Machine, and you pick a number and your quote, and it's usually very apropos or sparks imagination. Because when you have fun, it takes away some of the high stakes around your decision making, and it helps your brain. Your brain wants to keep you safe. And when you bring play into equation, it lowers the stakes. It's not as high stakes as if you're like, oh, this is a serious decision. If I don't do it, the world's going to blow up, versus, wow, I have a Pokemon card. That just doesn't seem serious, but you can get serious insights while you're having fun. There was a book by Orson Scott Card, I think his name was, called Ender's Game. And I mean, granted, there's probably some disturbing things about teaching little kids war, but they made it a game and took away the stakes, so it was easier for them to do it. Same thing when I go in the office and I don't want to be there. I make some days I pretend that I'm watching a nature show, a nature documentary, and I have these monologues inside my head like, oh, we found a lone salesperson. They've popped up from their cubicle, and so on and so forth. I'm just a ridiculous person, but I try and make the fun because that's how things done. And it's a way to, when you look at life as a game, sometimes you can level up, you can have your boss battles and look at it as an opportunity for growth, because a comfort zone is a desert. Barely anything grows there. Quote Stacy Casson. That's me. I don't see any other questions yet in the chat. I'm going to take a quick drink of water and then we'll go with Tea Girl. Hey, Master Killa, welcome to the fun. Welcome to the party. We are taking your questions. We still have about 19 minutes. So if you have a question, we can learn the wisdom Pokemon for your question. And if you're unsure, I'm going to show you all another technique. It's a good one. My pleasure. It's a good one if you don't know what you're trying to do. It's called Tea Grow, and it helps to narrow topics. So we're going to try that out with the Pokemon, and maybe this will spark something for you all that are still with me. And the first card we get, oh, awesome. Normally I'm playing Fate on Twitch and fishing a lot, but today for this month, I'm be doing a live every day where I just answer all your questions using the wisdom of the. So we have the water energy Pokemon card. And again, water is blue. It's calming. For me personally, I get ideas about emotions. I get ideas about the depth. Sometimes when you go underwater, it's quiet. Water can be suffocating. Water can be about flow. So that's a general topic. Might be something to do with feelings, might be something to do with being in the flow. So let's dig deeper. We're getting a lot of energy cards tonight. So this is a grass energy Pokemon card. It is green for those of you that can't see it. It is a glowing green sphere, a leaf icon. And I'm thinking about nature. And these two kind of work together. Other things that come to mind are just the state of the planet. Where I live, we're having this kind of freak cold front. It's not normally this cold this time of year, but it's also thinking about what are we trying to grow, because plants need water to grow. So what are you trying to plant and what are you trying to grow with that? Okay, that's closer to something. Trying to do new things. It's still close to the beginning of the year. A lot of people maybe have their New Year's resolutions that may or may not be going well. Let's kind of see what can help us with that. What's the reality? And now we have a steel Pokemon card. We've gotten this one before as well. This is a dark gray card with a glowing steel sphere. It has an inverted triangle with 3 brackets around it. And steel is really flexible. It withstands a lot of windstorms due to the flexibility. So it's lightweight, but it's strong because it's flexible. And this also just reminds me of some of the obstacles when we want to start something new. Sometimes steel can be an obstacle because it's a barrier. It can keep things out or it can keep you safe. So what are some of the obstacles that you can face when you're trying to plant something new, do something new? And maybe it's like being contained, and that can be a challenge sometimes when you're trying to do something new. So what are some of the opportunities that we have with this? And we get the energy switch Pokemon. So this is it looks like a handle, actually. So it looks like a handle, and there's 2 suction cups on the end, and there's 2 Pokemon energy balls. It's against a kind of Tron background, kind of glowing deep lights, like if you're under a black light. And it might be like, okay, we need to switch things up. I've been doing things a certain way, and it's time to switch it, planting something new. which is a challenge to me because I'm kind of set in my ways. So thinking about where are the opportunities for growth that you would like to go in a different direction, and you might have to switch things up, which is very, very uncomfortable because we're resistant to change. So one small step going forward that we can help us to take advantage of this change. And I get, wow, Groudon. This is like a giant spiked dragon looking Pokemon. It looks like his trainer's right next to him. This is a fighting energy card. It has magma, volcano, and massive rend. So this is a huge ball of energy happening. And it's thinking about what can you I think when you're trying to change, it's having a vision of what's the biggest, boldest, baddest thing that you can be. And again, we've had the fighting energy cards come up quite a bit in tonight's series. So I think that's just reinforcement about what is your North Star. So this legendary Pokemon, according to the card, is said to represent the land. It went to sleep after dueling Kyogre. So it's being reawakened, and it's a big, bad, bold Pokemon. So when you plant something new, what's the thing that can happen? And that wasn't my idea. I've heard it somewhere on the interwebs, but a lot of the time we ask, what's the worst thing that can happen? But when you want to try something new, think about what's the best thing that can happen, which is simple change management. Why do I need to change? Why do I want to do something new? What's the energy involved in that? Most of these cards tonight in this particular question were about energy and where we're directing it, and perhaps we need to switch it up. So that is something that if you don't know what to do, consider what new thing you would like to do, what changes you to be, who can you wake up to after this long sleep. And I hope, sorry, I'm not hoping, that was insightful for me. And it gives you something different to think about when we're going this way. Again, we have a little under 15 minutes left and still have plenty of times to answer your questions. One of my last lives, I got a question with 2 minutes to spare, and we were able to answer that question, and I was pretty proud of that. And there's many different ways. So if you want to do this for yourself, you don't have to rely on me and ask me almost anything. I'm a big fan of empowering people to do this on your own. However, if you'd like someone to hold your hand and walk you through this process, please feel free to reach out to me on YouTube. I'm Earthlink Sucks, and you can just put comments. I think they'll show there. If not, I'll put my contact information. You can reach out by email. This is the simpler one to understand. So that's in the comments if you all had further questions or would like to work with me. If not, that's okay. Continue on learning the wisdom of the Pokemon. But again, how to do this yourself. You can use Pokemon cards. If you are into intuitive tools like tarot cards, you can use that. You honestly can use random picture generator. If you just look up random picture generator on the internet, you can use that to pull up random pictures and do just exactly what I've been doing. Wow, I'm having fun in my neighborhood today. Most of these Pokemon, I haven't played with them. I just like the pictures, and you can read and research a little bit more, but I think it's strongest if you just look at whatever visual tool that comes to mind or that you're using, and just pay attention to whatever comes to mind. You could have pizza come to mind. Maybe you're hungry. Don't discard the thoughts that don't make any sense to you. It's kind of like dreams. When you have dreams and they have some kind of play in reality. Like I had a dream that everyone was complaining that I wasn't in the office, and I was kind of vexed in the dream because what are you talking about? I've been there more than I've ever been uh, in life, real. And today we had our new like return to work schedule, so I thought that was kind of interesting that it happened the day before. But I don't think I'm psychic because I'd be making a lot more money and I'd have dreamed the lottery numbers by now. Pay attention though to what comes up for you. We've seen a lot of things about trusting your intuition, trusting your instincts, and maybe considering and giving yourself the time to tap into that. On the whole, we've had a lot of cards around different kinds of energy. We've had cards about where you're putting your energy, the kind of metaphor placing your pearls before swine. Are you giving into a lot of distraction and not taking a moment to just sit still with yourself? And that really does provide a lot of insights. For me personally, it's something you might want to consider. I've been doing morning pages. I believe it's from a book called The Artist's Way, something like that. But if you Google morning pages, or if you look on the internet, maybe your Team Firefox or some other browser, maybe you're a Safari person, if you look that up, it gives you some tips. And just every morning, I write 3 pages. Whatever comes to mind. For me personally, I have taken to using some kind of intuitive tool and going through structured questions every morning just to prepare me for my day. And you'll start to see the trends that keep coming up to you when you're journaling. For me, it's a nice time. I don't have on music. I do use my phone because I like a deck that I have on my phone. And some mornings I don't do that either. I just start writing down what dreams I had last night. So that's a way to be still, be quiet, take a vacation from your phone. I was listening to this random, wow, on my phone, but this random stand up person, I really don't remember their name, but they were saying when they grew up, they didn't have a phone. So mindfulness was not a new thing. You just had to do it because you didn't have anything to distract you. According to the comedian, if you were on the bus, you were on the bus. You had to wait for somebody. You just had to wait for them to call or show up. And that's kind of an interesting way if you want to try that as an experiment. How long can you go without your phone? You could try that out and put it in the comments. I think the longest I've lasted is 2 to 3 hours without my phone. So we still have 8 minutes. If you have any questions whatsoever, I'm happy to take a stab at it. And I do find the Pokemon insightful because they're just different. A lot of people now that they're like Pokemon and they look forward to it. The other reason I like using Pokemon cards is because they're creatures. So that kind of takes away from the pressure of gender. And that's sometimes really helpful to other people. If you have looked at maybe traditional tarot suites or other intuitive tools, a lot of time they are kind of gender kings and queens and messengers and things like that. So perhaps this is a way for you to tap into your intuition and being kind of released from those tropes or standards out there. And for me, they're just fun. It's really interesting what comes to mind. And you can look them up afterwards, but I really I really think if you just read them for the heck of it and look at the pictures and see what comes to mind for you, you're generally pretty close to what that creature is like. And sometimes you can find more insights or other questions, but I highly recommend that you just start with trusting yourself and what comes to mind. And you'll get to a point where you don't even care what's in the book because you're so tapped in and tuned in to your own intuition that you can trust yourself to make decisions. I started out this talk asking how do you help yourself when you're in a slump? And my immediate question is, what's the big deal if you're in a slump? Why are you in a slump? It's asking deeper questions than just yes, no, binary kind of questions, kind of expanding your mind to move beyond the binary and do some deeper explorations. And I also find taking a moment to pause. Like this was really quick because I'm trying to get through as many questions as possible. But when you do this in your own setting, whether you journal or you ask your questions and write about it or reflect on it, give yourself a moment to sit with it, to sit with that card. A couple questions I usually do. My most basic questions are what is happening? And again, the card, you can just sit there and think about it, but sometimes visual tools can help narrow, because sometimes just asking me how would you define yourself is too overwhelming. So I like something that can narrow it down for me. So the choices I normally ask are what's happening, why is it a problem, what's the challenge, what's some advice for something that could help me in this situation. Other readers will say, what needs to shift? That's another powerful question you can ask yourself. And then, what's one way forward? Because again, I am not a fortune teller. If I was truly, I would make a lot of money. But I'm somebody that believes that we make our own fortunes, we make our own future. We have some control over how we choose to respond to situations. We may not be able to change our immediate external circumstances. I can't wave a magic wand and stop war or end poverty like that, but I can be responsive in a thoughtful way and think about reflecting again on where are we putting our energies? Where are we giving our pearls? Is that a good return on the investment? Do we have to switch it up? One of the earlier questions about feeling distance from our friends. I'm going to bring this unit energy card back again. We are not meant to be alone in this world, but are the people that you're hanging out with, are they getting you closer to your goal? Is it something that, again, is inspiring you? Or do you feel tired and expired when you're done hanging out with these people? So those are just some things I'm going to leave you with, and we'll take a quiet moment to meditate again by taking a deep breath in and exhale. And just notice what's happening in your body now. Are there any areas of tension? Are you fired up, ready to go? Are you maybe a little down? Does that present in your body in any certain ways? Again, like tension or sensations. Let's take another deep breath in. And this time hold. And exhale. Last one, deep breath in. And exhale. I want to thank everybody for joining and all your amazing questions. Thank you, Master Killa, Perkins, Squabbles24, Jermaine, who asked some offline questions, Helen, who asked some offline questions. I look forward to your feedback if your team replay. I'm so thankful for the feedback I got, that this was helpful and insightful. And I'll be here all month, every month. If you think of other questions, please join. I think tomorrow's is going to be 6:30 Eastern time on YouTube, Twitch, and tomorrow we will be back in. So yeah, tomorrow's is 6:30. That's February 7th. And then the next one on Thursday is 8 p.m., close to my bedtime, but for maybe my later people. And then Friday is going to be 7 p.m. So many choices. And the weekends are earlier. On Saturday, we have an 8 a.m. and Sunday, we have a 7 a.m. You all are welcome to join. Again, this will be for the entire month of February. And after that, I'm gone. Figure it out on your own, or you'll have to book an appointment with me. So take advantage of this. Thank you all again for your time, and have a wonderful evening.